Welcome to Cityscope, a podcast where we feature in-depth conversations about City of Salina projects, services, and initiatives. And on today's program, we're happy to have Salina Fire Chief Shane Pearson. Shane, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
You've been the fire chief a relatively short amount of time, and then served as interim chief before that, but you really have a long tenure with the Salina Fire Department. Tell us how long you've been there and what roles you've had.
I started as a firefighter paramedic in 1999 and then progressed through up to the division chief of EMS is what my first chief officer role was. I held that for about 8 years and then was promoted to deputy chief. When Chief Snyder came in, he recreated the deputy chief position that had been vacant for quite some time. And I was promoted into that role as the deputy chief for the department. And then when Chief Snyder retired, I was the interim chief for several months. And then in February of this year, the city manager promoted me and gave me the opportunity to fill the role permanently as the fire chief.
All right. Well, we're certainly glad that you've kind of come through the ranks, and because it really shortens the learning curve on that job. And
a lot of historical knowledge there that sometimes is difficult to obtain if you're not from here or not familiar with the department or the area. Sure.
Right. Okay. Well, there's a lot going on in the fire department right now.
There is.
And the big project that's going on right now is the construction of the new fire station number 4. Which if people are not familiar with it, it's located right at the southeast corner of Markley Road and East Crawford Street.
Correct. Yep.
Give us an update on where we are with that.
So things have construction started a few months ago. You were there, I believe the groundbreaking was in March, and then they started construction within a month or so after that. They started with the dirt work and groundwork. About a month ago, they went vertical, so we've got if you drive up by Station 4, you'll see that at least the 5 bays where the fire trucks and the fire apparatus and ambulances will park, the walls are at least up for that. They're had some rain delays and some weather-related events that have occurred that have slowed them down a little bit, but they're still on track to hit their projected completion date, which is late spring of 2026 for completion, or summertime of 2026. Right now, they're moving forward with all the flat work for concrete has been done, except for the bay floor. They've still got a few things left to do there before they pour the floor for the bay floor. But expect to start the framing portion of all the iron and what they refer to as the red iron. So that'll be the components for the walls for the living area, the training room, things of that nature is supposed to start very soon. And then you'll see a roof go on. And once they get the roof on and kind of get that building dried in, they won't really have to worry about weather too much to slow things down. And they'll be progressing pretty rapidly once things are dried in, and they can be under the roof regardless of the weather, basically.
Right. Okay. Well, I know that first of all, you've waited a long time for this to happen.
We have.
And it's going to greatly improve the situation out there on the east end of town. But I know some of the safety features were really primary in designing the new station. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so some of the new standards that are recommended now, from the National Fire Protection Association and cancer prevention. There's all kinds of things in place now. So there's actually going to be essentially a decontamination room that has got some features in that with ventilation systems that will keep. The idea is to keep any and all contaminated smells from clothing, that soot smell that the guys, when they return from a fire, when they get back to the station, they'll be able to go into a specific room specifically designed for decontamination. They can take a shower. They can take their dirty turnout gear, their dirty clothes that they were wearing. All that will be there. There's private showers there that they can step into to decontaminate themselves, and none of that contaminated clothing ever enters the living space where the kitchen area, the living room, their bunk room, anything of that nature. All that contaminated clothing and everything can be isolated and kept outside of that area. and kept in a specific area where it can be decontaminated before it goes back anywhere into the rest of the building.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the design of the building, and like the bays are in the middle, and you have the decontamination area on the east side of the building, I believe, and then the living quarters are on the west side.
So the decontamination area will be on the same side as the living quarters, but it's separated by a wall, and then the heating and air and ventilation system is all separate. So it keeps that, there's no return air coming out of that decontamination area that will be pulled into the living space. The east side of the building will be primarily there's going to be a small shop area, tool storage, a small shop area, the SCBA breathing air compressor and refill station and storage for self-contained breathing apparatus bottles, things of that nature. So the self-contained breathing apparatus compressor has to have a clean environment to suck in ambient air, and it compresses that, so it filters it, but we still want as clean of an environment as possible for that air to be brought into that compressor, to be placed into the bottles and into that system for the firefighters to, when they're inside an atmosphere where they need to have their self-contained breathing apparatus on, they've got fresh, clean air that they're breathing.
All right.
And then the exercise area, the gym, essentially, will be on the east side of the building as well.
Okay. Yeah, at least it won't be in the bedrooms like it
Correct.
is now at the old fire station number 4.
Yeah, current station 4, the exercise room and the bedroom is all in the same spot. So
Right. Makes for cramped quarters, I guess.
it's very, very tight, very cramped quarters there, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
And that new station is going to allow for expansion in the future. If it ever gets to the point for additional personnel, if that's ever needed, there's going to be space there to do that, where the current Station 4, there's no room for expansion whatsoever inside that building. It's 5 people there stationed every day, that it's pretty tight living.
And it's
pretty tight
about
quarters.
55 years old or so.
I believe the original station, was built in 1960, late 60s, 68 or 69, I believe is what they said when that station was built.
Yeah, so it's very outdated at this point.
Yeah.
So I assume, assuming things are on track for the completion of the building next spring or summer, that there'll be open house tours.
Yeah, we'll have an opening, grand opening ceremony of some sort, and then it'll be open to the public for tours and things of that nature when it first opens. It's something that the department and the city itself should be very proud of. It's been a long time. I believe Station 3 was the last new station that we built, and that was opened in 1987, I believe, was when that station opened. Obviously we had a big remodel and a lot of work done to Station 1 and an addition in the last 10 years or so, which was a big accomplishment for the department and the city as well. But this being the first new station, all the new technology, new requirements and specifications for new fire stations are all coming into play on this particular building, and it'll be a really good thing for the community to be able to come out and take a look and see exactly how the firefighters and the guys on the department live and work every day.
Right, and how much safer they'll be in the long run.
Yeah, much safer. And not that things aren't safe now at the other stations, we just don't have that technology available in those stations. We do everything we can to keep contaminated turnout gear and clothing separate from, none of the turnout gear is allowed inside the station anymore. We keep that out of the living area as much as we can and keep it isolated, but there's the other stations don't have that dedicated space for decontamination.
Right. That'll make it that much easier.
That much easier and safer.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're certainly looking forward to the finished product.
So are we.
Yeah, I'll bet.
The guys are excited.
And I think another reason that you wanted a bigger fire station is because of the new apparatus that's been put in place here over the last year or two. I know that there's been significant resources spent on upgrading the fire trucks and rescue vehicles. So tell us a little bit about that.
So that project started, off and on. This has been a goal, to get a new fleet of fire apparatus for quite a few years as well. And we've had at least a vision for an apparatus replacement cycle or apparatus replacement plan for quite a few years. And then a couple of years ago, about a little over 2 years ago, we took that, refined that plan. We had a committee formed. Battalion Chief Derek Herzog oversaw that committee and had individuals from each shift and different ranks on the department that participated in that committee. And we were able to take that plan from the department, take that to the city administration and to finance and the finance department, and kind of present it to them. They saw the vision, they saw the value in that, and then they were able to take that to the city commission, had a couple of study sessions to talk about new apparatus, what that would look like. The challenge that we started running into after COVID was, pre-COVID, you could order a new fire truck, custom, as many bells and whistles as you would like, and you were probably an 18-month, maybe 24-month at most delivery time from when you ordered that new truck. COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people, including manufacturing as a whole, not just for fire trucks,
right,
but it impacted emergency vehicle acquisition as well. So post-COVID, that new custom truck now, not only was it significantly more expensive, the turnaround time for those new custom fire trucks got extended to up to almost 3 to maybe 4 years.
Wow.
There are departments out there now that have ordered fire trucks that ordered them 2 years ago, and they've still got another 18 months or so waiting on a new truck to be delivered. So we changed the thought process, the committee changed the thought process on not necessarily doing custom specific built items on those trucks, and do what a lot of manufacturers refer to as a stock production type fire truck. So every fire apparatus and ambulance manufacturer builds X amount, so a percentage of their production every year goes into fire trucks that aren't specified or purchased by a department on the front side. They build these trucks very similar to going to a car dealership. They'll build a truck and have it available for sale, and most of the time they get purchased prior to being complete, because there are departments out there that, financially they're less expensive to purchase a stock production truck, and that was one of the goals, to be as fiscally responsible as we could be. Even though it was a lot of money, we were, millions of dollars that were spent on new fire trucks, to try to be as fiscally responsible as we could be, spending the citizens' money on new fire trucks for public safety. So that goal was finally realized and accomplished, and Pierce Manufacturing was able to accommodate the goal and the vision that the department and the committee saw, and they put together a deal to where we could buy 7 new trucks. So we have 2 new pumpers or engines, 2 single axle aerial devices. Quints is what we refer to those. So it can function as an aerial, it can function as an engine. 2 of those, 2 rescue truck chassis. One is used as a rescue truck. The other is used as a hazmat response truck.
Okay.
And then a new aerial platform, aerial truck. Pierce put together a package that, from the time we signed the contract to delivery of the last truck, took just over, not quite 15 months total, start to finish.
That's a lot shorter time frame than the 3 or 4 years.
Tremendously shorter, tremendously shorter than that. If we would have ordered those trucks custom, it would have cost more money, and we would still be waiting on trucks today. We would not have them available to us. As of March of this year, all the trucks have been delivered, and they are all now in service, serving the community. And the old apparatus that we had, some of it was 30 plus years old.
Right.
We were fortunate that we were able to sell all that equipment, and that money came back in to help offset the purchase of the new apparatus and equipment a little bit. So that funding was there and we did very well. The trucks we had were well maintained, and they're going to serve the communities that they went to, much smaller, less busy communities, but they're going to serve those communities pretty well for the near future.
Well, it sounds like we're well taken care of in the fire.
We've been very fortunate and have a lot to thank the city administration and the city commission for seeing our vision and making that become a reality with not only the fire station, but the new fire trucks, the new fire apparatus as well.
And I think we should, it's worth mentioning here that as far as ambulances are concerned, those are purchased by Saline County.
Correct. So that we're very fortunate with the county that the interlocal agreement that the city and the county have for the Salina Fire Department and the city to operate the countywide ambulance service. That agreement's been in place for a lot of years. I believe 1982 is when that agreement was established, and there's been some slight modifications to it over the years, but Saline County funds the purchase of a new ambulance every year, so that ambulance fleet gets turned over, and you got to keep in mind that the ambulances are much busier than the fire trucks and get a lot more miles put on them every year, and so keeping that ambulance fleet mechanically and reliability, the mechanical aspect and the reliability aspect of those, keeping those new and turning those over currently it's every 7 years. So the oldest ambulance we have in the fleet at this point is 7 years old, and we'll turn that over. And actually, the ambulance manufacturer that we utilize, we were able to work out a deal with them. They do what they call a remount process.
Okay.
So again, trying to be as fiscally responsible as what we can, we were able to see that vision with the ambulance manufacturer that offers a lifetime structural and corrosion warranty on the ambulance body itself, the box, the patient care box on the back of that ambulance chassis. So when we started purchasing those ambulances from Osage Ambulance, we started a remount process. So we've went through almost the entire fleet of remounting them at least once, but that takes about at least 30 to 35% off the cost of a new ambulance.
Right.
Reduces that if we do that remount process, and we are able to turn that around a little bit quicker because it only takes them about 90 days to remount that ambulance body onto a brand new ambulance chassis. So they'll take an ambulance chassis that's 7 years old that has 150,000 miles on it, give or take. They'll take the body off, completely refurbish it top to bottom, inside, outside. It's essentially, they reuse the box, but they strip it down to bare metal. They check for corrosion, they check for cracks, they check for any mechanical or structural integrity issues. If there are any found, they repair that, and then they reassemble the ambulance body with all new mechanical, heating and air, new lighting, new electrical, new seats. Everything gets replaced, and it comes back, gets attached to a new chassis, and then comes back to us literally as a brand new ambulance. But it's a cost savings to essentially the taxpayers of about 30% per ambulance by doing that.
That's a great arrangement.
It is, and the county, the arrangement that the city and the county have, that's a very good arrangement. It works well. There's the county saw that vision too, and when we were looking at a way to get a new ambulance every year, but also have a cost savings to impact the taxpayers to be able to provide that level of service.
Now, having all this new equipment means nothing if you don't have excellent personnel to operate it.
Sure.
And you do have excellent personnel.
We do. We're very fortunate.
And I know a very important part of being a firefighter is constant training.
Correct.
And I know you guys run a very comprehensive training program. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So the training division, they oversee both fire training, rescue training, hazardous materials training, as well as emergency medical service training. So on the EMS, emergency medical service side of things, there are minimum hours and it's a 2-year recertification cycle for the paramedics and EMTs, but they have to have a minimum number of hours in specific categories. So the training division, they lay out a 2-year plan essentially on our EMS training, and obviously sometimes you have to throw an audible and we have to change the training plan a little bit, but
Sure.
that training plan gets the required number of hours in each category covered for every one of our employees, even including some specialized training. So we're one of the, not the only, but one of the few departments in the state that operate a critical care paramedic program. So we've got paramedics that receive additional training for critical care, to be able to take care of critically injured or ill patients, and whether that's taking those to Salina Regional or if they need a higher level of care, we've got employees that have that additional knowledge and education that can accommodate for that and take care of those folks. On the fire and rescue training, hazmat training, again, that's a plan that's laid out typically at least a year in advance. We have internally, we've got minimum requirements that we like to meet for training, and there are objectives through NFPA and ISO, which ISO is the organization that establishes insurance ratings, especially for commercial property throughout the community. So they have recommendations on training as well. So we do everything we can to meet those objectives for fire, rescue, and hazmat training throughout the year as well. So those are all things that, including new recruit training. So, we're currently in a hiring process right now, and we hope to start a new recruit class in mid-August.
That was going to be my next question.
Yep. So all that training it's all blended into one big package from start to finish. So from initial recruit training through continuing education and ongoing training, we can never have enough. It's
Right.
something that the shift personnel especially, they're in some sort of class almost every single day throughout the year. Holidays, things of that nature, those are a little bit more relaxed and not as regimented every day. But Monday through Friday, there's a regimented schedule, aside from running emergency calls that will interrupt that schedule. But for the most part, Monday through Friday, every week is a regimented schedule for everybody that's on duty, and the training schedule and what the expectations are for training and education. And with the recruit class coming, again, that'll be a scheduled process for 10 weeks that those recruits will be in class Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, so 40-hour week for those folks. And then once they're finished with the recruit class, they'll get assigned to a shift and then go out onto the shift and get even more training
Right.
as they go through their career.
And sometimes baptism by fire is
Essentially, that's
no
that's
pun
correct.
intended, but
Correct, yeah, you're right, you're right.
So we should mention that if you're interested in being a firefighter, as you said, you're recruiting for a new class right now.
We are.
And the application deadline, I believe, is August 1st.
Because we had we actually had quite a few applications come through. We have updated that. I believe today is we're going to.
Oh, really?
We're going to stop taking applications today.
Okay.
For this particular recruit class.
Right.
There's anticipated retirements after the first of the year, things of that nature. So we usually have at least one recruit class a year. We anticipate we will likely have to have another one in the spring, based on potentially some retirements and things of that nature. So, but we've got a really good applicant pool this go around that we feel we're to the point where if we want to get the recruit class started by early to mid-August, that we're going to stop taking applications. It may still be out there, but for the most part, we're cutting off for this current recruit class, things are going to get stopped at least at this point.
So, check back next spring.
Yep.
You can always check the jobs website at jobs.salina-ks.gov, and they'll have the current job listings there, and they'll certainly have the listings there for firefighter, paramedic, and firefighter EMT. So.
And if anything changes, we've had that occur before where, unexpected retirements or had got to the point where we needed to hire a few folks that we opened up the applicant process earlier than expected, and that will get put out the same way on the city website and things of that nature. Social media, we try to push that out that way as well.
Right. And you can even apply right from that jobs website.
Correct.
So
Yep.
it's easy to do.
It is.
All right. Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap up here?
I don't think so. The support from the community is wonderful. So all the support that the department gets from the community to the city administration to the city commission is greatly appreciated, and if you want to come by the station, call ahead. Sometimes, you know, the personnel may be out on a call or in training, but, you know, it's the community's fire station. So, you know, we do a lot of tours, a lot of public relations type events. Public education is another one that I'd like to talk on real quick. And the prevention division, the fire marshal and the 2 prevention officers put a lot of hours in every week as well with public education and prevention activities. And while it may seem they're kind of the behind-the-scenes folks a lot of times for the fire department, and probably don't get as much credit as what they should. The amount of hours they put in on prevention, as well as plan reviews and all, you know, the new construction that's going on in the city, you know, with everything else that's occurring. All those plans are reviewed by multiple layers of people in the city, including the fire marshal and the fire marshal's office, to ensure that they meet all the fire alarm system requirements that are required, or fire suppression system requirements that are required, things of that nature. So there's a lot of hours behind the scenes that go into that, as well as the prevention activities that they're out doing every single day, the programs in the schools for fire prevention and public education. So give a lot of credit to those individuals in the prevention division and the fire marshal's office for keeping up with that. They do a lot of work that sometimes just doesn't get noticed sometimes very easily, but we notice it internally in the department. We see it, but the general public may not at times see how important that division is.
Right. Well, I'm sure glad that we got the chance to talk today. I've learned a lot about the fire department. So,
well, good. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming. So.
Sure.
And thank you for watching CityScope. We'll see you next time.